Welcome to the module on missing children in India. The learning objective of this module is to enable the learners to gain a basic understanding of the issue of missing children and its magnitude in the Indian context. It also provides the learner a basic understanding of the issue of the children getting separated from their families and its etiology. It also provides the knowledge about the latest mechanisms for the protection of the children from such separation and initiatives for the rehabilitation of such children. It also provides knowledge about the latest mechanisms for tracing the missing children and other interventions, and the module also aims to enable the learners to involve themselves in tracing and rehabilitation work of the missing children. India, with 1.21 billion people, constitutes as the second most populous country in the world, while children below the 18 years of the age represents 39% of the total population of the country. Based on the 2011 census figures, it is estimated that India is home to almost 19% of the world's children. It is also a fact that more than one-third of the country's population, around 44 crore, is below 18 years. In India, we do not have exact figures of the missing children. According to unconfirmed reports, the number of the runaway children adds up to 10 lakh children per annum, that is, every 30 seconds a child runs away from home. If we add the number of missing, lost and kidnapped, abducted children to this, the number of the missing children in India would be phenomenal. Data on missing children put out by the Union Home Ministry in July 2014 in Parliament shows that over 3.25 lakh children went missing between 2011 and 2014 till June, at an average of nearly 1 lakh children going missing every year. In 2005, National Human Rights Commission informed that on an average of 44,000 children are reported missing every year. Of these, as many as 11,000 remain untraced. Why do we have so many children missing and why are they not found? It starts with how the investigation is done. Very often, first information reports (FIRs) are not registered. Instead, just an entry is made into a listing of the missing persons at the police station and a photograph of missing child sent across the city or the district police stations. Cases are also investigated with seriousness if the persons reporting the missing child files a case of kidnapping. In many instances across the country, accusations against the police have been raised that the police takes a very casual approach in cases of missing children. On February 5, 2013, a bench of the Honorable Supreme Court was angry over 1.7 lakh missing children, and the government's apathy towards the issue had remarked, "Nobody seems to care about missing children. This is the irony." As indicated earlier, Home Ministry data in the July 2014 showed that over 3.25 lakh children went missing between 2011 and 2014 till June, at an average of nearly 1 lakh children going missing every year. Close to 1.5 years later, government data show over 1.5 lakh more children have gone missing, and the situation remains the same with an average of 45% of them remaining untraced. As compared to this, in Pakistan, around 3,000 children, and in China, around 10,000 children go missing every year. National Crime Records Bureau, in fact, deciphers missing children figures in India in terms of one child going missing in the country every 8 minutes. More worryingly, 55% of these missing are girls and 45% of all missing children have remained untraceable, as yet raising fears of them having been either killed or pushed into begging or prostitution rackets. Maharashtra is one of the worst states in terms of missing children, with over 50,000 having disappeared in the past 3.5 years, that is from 2011 to 2014. Madhya Pradesh, Delhi and Andhra Pradesh are distant competitors, with all recording less than 25,000 missing children for the period. Worryingly, however, all these states have more missing girls than boys. In Maharashtra, 10,000 more girls went missing than boys. In Andhra Pradesh, the number of girls missing is almost double of boys. Similarly, Madhya Pradesh has over 15,000 girls missing compared to around 9,000 boys. Delhi too has more girls missing compared to boys. What worse is that the law and order machinery, there is no special focus on tracing of missing children. It is high time that our law and order machinery develops special mechanisms for dealing with the problems of the missing children, so that more missing children could be reunited with their families. Now, we will see about the etiology of children's separation from the family. The family is considered to be the most important and the primary social institution for the protection and the development of a child. Family is a basic unit in the society, and family is a basic right of any child, because the child is dependent on the family for its physical and emotional well-being. Infants and smaller children are not expected to be separated and living outside the family in normal circumstances. However, due to a variety of the reasons, the contact with the child and the family is severed when the family becomes unaware of the whereabouts of the child. Such a child separated from his or her family without the consent of the child, family, and whose whereabouts are unknown of the family could be defined as a missing child. When the family is unable to trace the whereabouts of a child, it leads to emotional turmoil of both the family and of the child. What are the reasons for the family to missing a child? There are several reasons for the family to lose track of the child. In the Indian context, the following are the reasons for a child to be detached with its family. Family loses the child in a crowded public place, or the child innocently moves away from the family without the family's knowledge. These situations usually happen when the child is very small and is therefore unable to retrace and rejoin from the family on its own. The child is kidnapped and taken away from the family is another situation. This could be either for the purposes of ransom, revenge, or sexual abuse. It could also be for the purposes of child trafficking, for child labor, organ trade, or prostitution or beggary. Child deliberately also sometimes runs away from the family. There are several reasons for this. The most important one being physical abuse or incest within the family. Several children from rural and urban poor families run out of home due to poverty related difficulties at home or physical abuse. Some children also run away under peer pressure or as an act of rebellion. There are also a large number of children who run away from their homes after dropping out of school. They usually run away to the bigger cities where they fall prey to exploiters. The family handles the child over to another person's agency for the child's better prospects. Due to the poverty, many Indian parents hand over their children to another person's or agency so as to ensure better opportunities for the child. Subsequently, the family loses contact with the child. Parents sell the child or deliberately abandon the child due to poverty. Many such cases have been reported. In some cases, the parents who are unable to maintain the child due to poverty deliberately abandon the child in a public place like a railway station. In some other cases, they sell their child to anyone who is willing to pay them. In both the instances, the child gets separated from the family. Family secretly abandons the newborn child, and the child is born with some physical deformities, or as it is a girl child, or as it is born out of wedlock. Many are not aware of the fact that they could legally relinquish their rights on their biological child without causing any harm to the child, so that such child could be suitably rehabilitated through an adoption. Family disowns the child due to the child's deviant behavior or drug addiction. In some instances, the parents who are fed up with the deviancy or drug addiction throw their child out of the family and do not wish to maintain any relation with the child. The entire family perishes due to disease, accident, natural disaster, leaving the child as the lone survivor. In such instances, children become orphans without family support, like missing children. Child trafficking and missing children. All the above type of children could be considered as missing children, as they are separated from the vital institution, namely family. Once children are separated from the family due to any of the above reasons, and they come on the street without protection, they could be pushed into the deviance or subjected to sexual exploitation or physical abuse by unscrupulous elements. There are indications of a relation between child trafficking and missing children. Childline India Foundation reports indicated that children who go missing may be exploited and abused for various purposes. There is also evidence of several unscrupulous adoption agencies indulging in illegal sale of babies who are procured from poor parents. Trafficking for and through adoption is not only an inter-country phenomenon, even within the country the demand for adoption has increased, leading to several rackets. There are reasons to believe that child trafficking and the issue of the missing children is very closely linked. We do not have comprehensive statistical data available on child trafficking in all its forms and purposes. Most cases go unreported and there is no single law to address the issue. The net result is the data available on child trafficking are inadequate and scattered. According to the United Nations, nearly 2 million children are abused and trafficked every year, with South Asia taking a lead in the volume of the trafficking in children for sexual exploitation. As indicated earlier, according to the National Crimes Record Bureau, 55% of the missing children in India are girls. It could be summarized that many missing children are kidnapped who end up the hands of the child traffickers who sell them to the brothel keepers, which is one of the reasons why many of them remain untraceable. Because of a wide array of the problems, it is hard to survey and get an accurate number of the missing children. Often cases are not reported to the police. Even if reported, the police fail to register the first information report, that is FIR. At present, the police is one of the most important agencies for the intervention in the case of the missing children. The responsibility of tracing the missing children primarily rests with the police. All other child care agencies can only play a supportive role. Immediate intervention is required in the case of the missing children, which should ensure their prompt rescue, safe accommodation and safe rehabilitation. It is important that there is a security net in place for their protection and welfare, so that their vulnerability could be reduced. Recommendations of National Human Rights Commission regarding the missing children. Some recommendations or suggestions of the National Human Rights Commission NHRC to the state and the union government regarding the missing children are as follows. Missing children should become a priority issue with state and union governments and law enforcement agencies. Every police station should have a special squad and missing persons desk dedicated to tracing missing children. Special juvenile police unit also be used in this purpose. Reiterated the High Court decision to establish a missing children cell in the Central Bureau of Investigation. The district administrators are responsible for keeping tabs on the number of working children in his or her district. He or she is required to make regular inspections of these spaces. All missing children cases nationally should be reported to the National Commission for the Protection of the Child Rights NCPCR. The missing children's investigation should include the help of the panchayat and community. NGOs can also assist in reporting and investigating missing children cases. National Crime Records Bureau needs to set up a system database so that all missing children cases are available to local authorities. Government is required to give ample support to the emergency helpline Childline 1098. It is advisable that first information reports be filed in case of missing children. National website for tracking missing children. The Ministry of Women and Child Development WCD is implementing a centrally sponsored scheme, namely the Integrated Child Protection Scheme ICPS since 2009-2010. The objective of this scheme are to contribute the improvement of the well-being of the children in difficult circumstances, as well as the reduction of vulnerabilities to situations and actions that lead to abuse, neglect, exploitation, abandonment and separation of children. The scheme also envisages for creating a mechanism for tracking missing and found children under the Integrated Child Protection Scheme and the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Amendment Act of 2006. The Ministry of Women and Child Development recognized that at present there is acute shortage of data and information pertaining to issues related to the child protection. Due to this gap, there is no comprehension about the dimension of the problem, that is, number of children requiring support and the kind of the services they are in need of. In order to bridge this gap, the Ministry of Women and Child Development under the Integrated Child Protection Scheme has developed an effective system for child protection, data management and reporting, as well as a tool for monitoring the implementation of all its child protection schemes. National Informatics Center NIC developed a national-wide website, national portal, the Track Child for the Women and Child Development Ministry, which is not only have the data on missing children, but it also have the live database to monitor the progress of the found children who are availing the various services in different child care institutions CCIs under the Integrated Child Protection Scheme and the Juvenile Justice Act. A web-enabled child protection management information system, that is called MIS, has been created as a resource base for child protection issues. Track Child has been developed for tracking missing children and their ultimate repartition and rehabilitation. Broadly, Track Child software has two modules: the information of the children who are already covered under the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act of 2000 and the Integrated Child Protection Scheme of ICPS is to be entered in the software by the Integrated Child Protection Scheme ICPS functionaries, including Child Welfare Committees, CWCs, Juvenile Justice Board, JJBs and the information of the missing children reported is to be entered and updated at the police stations. The ultimate goal of Track Child project is to facilitate the matching of the missing children being reported at police stations with those found children who are residing in the child care institutions CCIs. This is a complex and intensive activity demanding a lot of time and resources. The child tracking system has data entry mechanisms and unified procedures for enabling centralized coordination through effective use of web enabled software that has been developed by the National Informatics Center for this purpose. At the state level, State Child Protection Society with the support of the district child protection units are setting up and managing this child tracking system. Track Child portal has been designed and developed adhering to the guidelines is provided in the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2000 and Model Rules 2007 and the provisions laid down in the Integrated Child Protection Scheme ICPS. One of the tasks entrusted under the Integrated Child Protection Society, one of the tasks entrusted under the Integrated Child Protection Scheme to the state government is the setting up of the child tracking system, which will facilitate data entry and matching of the missing and found children and also enable follow up of the progress of children who are beneficiaries of the scheme. Thus, proper monitoring and welfare of the children under the scheme would also be entrusted through the portal. The homes child welfare committees are being equipped with the computers, staff, etc. to facilitate data entry of the children under the Integrated Child Protection Scheme. Track Child portal provides an integrated virtual space for all stakeholders and Integrated Child Protection Scheme bodies, which includes Central Project Support Unit, State Child Protection Society, units and district child protection units, child care institutions, police stations, child welfare committees and juvenile justice boards, etc. in all states and union territories. It also provides a networking system among us all the stakeholders and citizens to facilitate tracking of a child in distress. It requires data entry and updating at various levels such as police stations, child care institutions, homes, shelters, child welfare committees and juvenile justice board. The software also provides facilities for mapping of vulnerable locations, that is those which have a large number of children reported missing, so that corrective action can be taken in these areas. Monitoring by senior officers of the action being taken by the police to trace the missing children has also been streamlined through the software. The Ministry of Women and Child Development has been closely working with the stakeholders working in the area of child protection in the country and have organized various meetings and consultations, especially with the state governments, Ministry of Home Affairs, National Crime Records Bureau, State Department of the Police, National Institute of Public Cooperation and Child Development NAPSED, Central Adoption Resource Agency CARA, Zonal Integrated Police Network SIPNet of the Delhi Police and Childline India Foundation, etc. Ministry of Women and Child Development with the assistance of the National Informatics Center NIC have compiled training on the use of the Track Child software for the police officials and ICPS functionaries in the states and union territories. Need based trainings are conducted as per the request received by the states. National Informatics Center has also designed its nodal offices to provide technical help to the states and the union territories. Track Child nodal officers have also been appointed by the departments of the Women and Child Development by the states and the union territories. The district child protection units are responsible for carrying out an exercise to map all the services available to children in the difficult circumstances and vulnerable children and their families in a districts. This would include, for example, location and contact details of all police stations, childcare institutions, hospitals, primary health care center PHCs, pediatricians, member of child welfare committees and JJBs and child line services. The district child protection unit will also maintain a database of all children in institutional care and non-institutional care at the district level, with the ultimate goal of developing a comprehensive integrated live database for children in need of care and protection. As it is a complex and intensive activity demanding a lot of time and resources, it is gradually being developed and expanded to the entire country. The National Center for Missing Children runs another online website where one can search cases of missing children as well as report cases. The NCMC is a non-political, non-profit making and a non-governmental organization offering the services free of charge. One section gives information on child found and are now in different institutions in the country. This is to locate parents of the traced missing children. There is another section for tracing biological parents of the missing children who are separated from their parents during their childhood. Now these children would be adults. The site also tries to educate parents, children and schools about safety guidelines and precautions against getting separated. Conclusion: in the next decade, India's children will be numbered around 400 million, equal to the population of the most large countries. Of these, about 100 million would belong to the poorest families. There can be no greater investment than that of investing in children, considering the fact that a significant number of children are being separated from their families every year. It is important that this issue becomes a priority in the agenda of child rights activities in the country. The issue of missing children is remediable and can be addressed through appropriate corrective interventions. With the initiatives outlined above, it is hoped that we will be able to reduce vulnerability of the missing children in India, and the missing children will be tracked swiftly and reunited with their families. It is also hoped that these measures will help effectively check the threat of the child trafficking and child prostitution. Summary of this module: in this module we discussed about the issue of the missing children and its magnitude in the context of India, and we also discussed about the issue of the children getting separated from their families and its etiology. The module also provided the latest mechanisms for the protection of the children from such separation and initiatives for their rehabilitation of such children. The module also provided the knowledge about the mechanisms to trace the missing children and other interventions, and finally, the learner got an idea about the rehabilitation processes of the missing children. Thank you for attending this module.